But the ultimate thing is, man, you got to have confidence in you. People want to tell you when you can talk, when you can be a leader. It's either in you or it's not. So you got to find a way to make that kid tap into what his true talent is and have that belief in himself. And once that kid gets that belief, you can't stop him at that point. I didn't care how big you were, how old you were, how bad you were. If I thought I was going to beat you, you have to work hard to beat me. And I just started to live like that. I remember the dude talking, and I said, well, you know what? My job is never to let you play again.
Hey, real quick, before we get into the video, a couple things. One, anybody who's watched any of my episodes or listened to any of my episodes, thank you very, very much. I really greatly appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to it or watch it. I'm not quite sure if you like this face or you like hearing this voice, but if you made it to 2 minutes, 30 seconds of it, thank you. Second, this is my first interview that I've ever done. My big brother, best friend, Brian Mitchell, who's a former NFL player, is so gracious to bless me with his presence and allow me to interview him. That said, here's the disclaimer part. The video quality really ain't that good. I'm just gonna say it. I promise you the videos coming are gonna be better, but the information in this video is way too good for me not to put this video out as is. So that's problem number one. The second issue is my camera died. But you can't change the past, right? With that said, hope you enjoyed the interview. Cool. So today we have a special guest on Let's Talk About It. So if we look at this guy in high school set the record for the long jump, triple jump, 48 feet 8 inches. Not only did he did that, he also did the, where's the other one? Triple jump. What was the other one you did?
Long jump.
The long jump. Yeah. He also has a state record of long jump for 24.3, right? Not only that, in high school, he also had a 3.5 GPA, which means he was kind of smart. He just wasn't an athlete. In addition to that, you might know him more for his football accolades. This guy was the first NCAA player to have 5,000 plus passing yards and 3,000 plus rushing yards. He has the NCAA record for all-time rushing touchdown for a quarterback at 47. School single game rushing record of 271 yards, 1987.
Colorado State.
All Louisiana first team in 1989, 1988, and in 1989, Louisiana Offensive Player of the Year. Now, let's talk about NFL career. So he was okay in high school. He was pretty good in college. But in the NFL, 14 years, which is pretty awesome considering the average lifespan of a football player is 4.5 years now.
2.3.
Okay. Played from 1990 to 2000 with the Washington Redskins / Commanders. From 2001 to 2003 with the Philadelphia Eagles, and 2003 to 2004 the New York Giants. Drafted in the 5th round, was drafted as a running back and return specialist. Most career kickoff returns in NFL history at 14,014 yards. Most career punt return yards in NFL history at 4,999. You couldn't get that one more yard, dog?
They didn't let me get it.
That's some BS, dog. Most career total return yards, that's including kickoff and punt returns, at 19,013 yards. You sure like these odd numbers, don't you?
Still number one.
Second most all-purpose yards in NFL history, 23,000 330 yards, only because Jerry Rice came out of retirement.
Kept playing.
That bastard. And holds the record for most all-purpose yards by a player against a single opponent of 3,076 yards versus
The Dallas Cowboys.
the Dallas Cowboys. Pro Bowl selection in 95, two-time special team All-Pro, 91, 94. Member of the Washington Redskins, Commanders. Ring of Fame, named the 70th greatest Redskin player in franchise history. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Keith Mitchell.
What's up, bro?
Welcome, sir. Welcome,
I'm good,
sir.
man. What's going on?
Not much, man. Not much. I appreciate you joining me. So, my podcast really, so a lot of people know I'm a trainer, but a lot of people don't know my niche in training in regards to, I spend a lot of time on the mental training aspect. How do you build mental toughness, confidence, resilience, so forth and so on. And the majority of my clientele is female athletes, which the reason why I picked that years ago is when I started training, there was really nobody doing anything for female athletes. And if I wanted to set myself apart, you know, by knowing you, I've known you for 20 some odd years. I knew already that if I wasn't in the locker room as a trainer, I ain't getting in the locker room as a trainer in the NFL or the NBA. So I didn't feel like it was worth my time and energy chasing after training football players and basketball players and baseball players, thinking I'm going to get a big payday at the end. So to me, I had to make a business decision. That business decision was to kind of focus my attention on female athletes. So what I would like to do is I would like to kind of trace your pathway to the NFL and how successful you have been, and then try to see the correlation between what you did, how you did it, and how we can use that as examples for athletes today.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your high school career. Everybody in high school has at some point a question about their abilities, if they're good enough, do they belong, and questioning themselves. What were some of the things that you did or that you were taught that helped build your confidence when you were in high school that got you to be as successful in high school?
Well, I would say it didn't happen in high school. It happened before high school. My dad was in the military. I'm the youngest of 7 kids. And the excuse of being too small and the youngest didn't exist in my house. I've told you this story, and I probably told some people that may be listening. When I was 10 years old, my dad asked me to go help my brother to drive these posts into the ground. And you have to use this post hole thing, this driver, which is a metal thing where you have handles on each end and you lift and slam. And I'm 10. And I'm like, Daddy, man, I'm too small. I can't do that. He said, boy, you're a Mitchell. You can do anything. And a lot of times people say, be careful what you say to people because they begin to live it. Well, that day I lived it. I wouldn't help my brother. And we drove those posts into the ground all day. And I slept probably the next 26 hours. But what it taught me was if you believe you can do something, you can do it. And I know a lot of people would say that, well, it's not that simple. Yes, it is. If you don't think you can do it, you won't try it. If you think you can do it, you will try it. If you get 3 today and you get 5 tomorrow, you improve, right? So I immediately began to live like that. And then having 4 older brothers and 2 older sisters, every day was like a challenge because I'm 5.5 years younger than Daryl, my brother next to me. And then my sister Linda, it was 13, 14 years older than me. So I'm trying to keep up with them. So I got to do more. And that just became my way, you know, and it's like, I know people always say like, you know, like people having parents or a dad around, this, that, and the other. It made a big difference to me because my dad had a keen way of always making you think you were better than what you were. And I think I connected with that, and I just, you know, it just became a part of me. It became a fabric of who I am. And I didn't care how big you were, how old you were, how bad you were. If I thought I was going to beat you, you have to work hard to beat me. And I just started to live like that. And I think I carried it on all the way through college, NFL, and I still do it today.
So do you think you're unique in regards to the building of confidence was instilled in you at an early age by your parents, specifically your father, versus like I see a lot nowadays where parents are almost taking a hands-off approach for fear that they're going to put too much pressure on their children. Like I get it all the time. I get parents that actually come to me and be like, hey, can you talk to my kid about this? Or hey, can you talk to my kid about that? Because their thought process is, my kids ain't going to listen to me, but they're listening to you, coach.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, it's not that I'm unique, and it's not that those parents are different. It's just those parents have found out what makes their kid tick. My dad knew what made me tick. I wanted to please him and my mom. And my dad basically told me if I didn't have certain grades, I couldn't play sports. So once my dad realized that I loved football, I loved competition, then he began to say, 3.0 or higher, you can't play. It wasn't a problem. You know, just like I focus in football, I focus in school. Those parents that come to you and say, coach, because they know their kid has told them something about you that makes him understand that he's going to listen to you more. Like, you know about Brian Jolivet.
Yep.
So Brian Jolivet's daughter, Brooke, was 2 years old, and if they wanted her to do something, they called me and Monica. And we were able to get her to do something over the phone. So it's like they always say it takes a village to raise a child. So you're part of that village in those parents' lives to help raise their kid, as I was in Brian and Annette's life to help raise their kid. And when you find someone that your kid's going to listen to, I think as parents, we got to get our pride out the way and realize the ultimate goal is to give your kids the best tools they can have to go out there and be successful. And I think that's what those parents are doing with you. And I just happen to have a dad who, I'll give you a backstory of my dad. My dad took his GED, graduated and joined the military because his mom wouldn't let him play football. So all of what y'all see from Brian Mitchell is a part of Blanche Mitchell not being allowed to do the things he knew he could do. And my dad was in the military for 20 plus years. And I remember when I was in the 9th grade, my coach, I was at junior high school. 8th, 9th grade was my junior high school. 10th, 11th, 12th was my senior high, across town. I ended up being a starting quarterback for the 11th, 12th grade team because that coach felt I was better than the ones he had. And my mom was like, he's too small. My dad like, hey, remember what I did? And y'all say he's like me. So they allowed me to play. So when I built my mom's house in 2007, 1997, I let her know that, remember you didn't want me to play football? She told me shut the hell up. But the ultimate thing is just finding a way to make that kid believe in himself. Because you watch today, how many people feel strongly about a kid's talent and that kid doesn't? Yeah. You got to find a way to make that kid tap into what his true talent is and have that belief in himself. And once that kid gets that belief, you can't stop him at that point.
They become a beast.
So like the thing is, I meet so many parents that they want it more than the kid. And I tell them, I say, well, does the kid want this or you want it? Because there are parents who failed in their lives, and now they're trying to make the kids do what they couldn't do. And sometimes that kid resents that. But if you find out your kid want to do it, then you push it. Because my dad told me, he said, like 7 years old, I told him I wanted to be, 6 years old, I told him I wanted to be a professional athlete. He said, you sure about that? So maybe the next 2 or 3 days, my dad being military, wakes me up and takes me to the Mississippi River levee. Had me running the levee at 6 years old. He said, when you start doing this by yourself, I know you mean it. So 9, 10 years old, they wake up, they couldn't find me in the house.
You're running.
So they calling people, did you see Keith? And one of my uncles was like, yeah, he's on the levee, running up and down the levee. And my mama was mad at my daddy because she had taught me this. He taught me this, but he was happy as hell because
you showed it.
I had done what he said when you start doing it by yourself. Although like today you would want your kids just going out the house at 6 a.m. at that age,
right.
But That's what I did.
No, it's interesting you say that. So I actually had a conversation with a potential new client, and the mother of the daughter, she's a freshman field hockey player, and that's most of my kids that I train are field hockey players. The daughter as a freshman made varsity, and we were having this conversation. The mom was like, "Well, I try not to push her too hard. I want her to want this, and I don't want to get involved." And I remind her, I was like, that's great because you don't want to push your kid to a point where they end up resenting it. I said, but let me remind you, all of the great athletes who've gone on to be successful, not just in their sport, but in life, had somebody in their life pushing them.
Yeah.
The Williams girls, Andre Agassi, Bryce Harper, Barry
You could name any one of them. Somebody was pushing them.
Kobe Bryant. We can go down this list, and to a certain extent, I feel like parents have to kind of guide. I wouldn't say push, but make sure they're always in check in what they say their goals are. Yeah.
But and the thing of it is, it's a semi-partnership.
Yeah.
When your kids show you what they want, and you're the closest person to them, you got to go on. You got to be willing to go on that journey with them. And the good thing about me. I grew up on the street, one way in, one way out. So I'm really a rural country boy. Ella Road was one way in, one way out, about 25 houses. Everybody's related. And we had a bunch of boys on that street. So everybody taught each other how to play sports, and everybody watched out for everybody. You can leave the house in the morning at 6, 7 o'clock, come back when it's about to get dark, you ain't been in the house before it get dark. And they always knew where you were. And we didn't have no cell phones. We didn't have beepers. They knew where you were because
they had no camera ring phones. Yep.
And they knew they checked up on each other's kids and they made it work. So it was a great way of living. I know people call it country. I tell them, no. Country living is way better than city living. Because your parents don't know where the hell you are.
Well, let's be honest. The new term for that same thing is community.
Yeah.
We hear it all the time. Community this, community that. In the business world, in the fitness, you want to build a community with your clients. Everything's community. But that just goes back to grassroots of neighborhood growing.
True, totally.
Right? And especially more rural than in the cities because it happened in the cities too. You have neighborhoods looking out for one another back in the days. Not so much nowadays, but back in the day.
But that's the simplest thing we can go back to. And I just think that's why I haven't met a kid that asked me an answer. May ask me a question that I'm not willing to sit and talk to them and give them an answer because I know along the way there were many people, teachers and coaches and just dudes in the neighborhood and the uncles and aunts that were willing to give me advice. And I don't know why, but I developed early. If somebody is older than me and I'm trying to find out how to do something that they've already done, I'm gonna listen to them.
Take a shortcut.
Rather than like these young kids that they think they know everything because they have their little new way of speaking. Their new way of speaking, they can't. I promise you haven't asked any one of them to write a true paper. They can't put the punctuations in the right place. They don't know subject-verb agreement, but they can sure in the hell give me all these slangs and all these little what's called acronyms and all that type of stuff.
Right.
But I was taught by people that went through something, and I never ever lost the fact that because my dad always said, son, you don't have to go through some stuff because I've already been through it, so I could just talk to you about it. I didn't understand it at first, but now I understand, and I hope my kids and I hope my relatives and the people I meet, I'm telling you what I know. I don't care if it's 1976 or 2023. You still gonna try to do something that they did back in 1965 or 1942. And you know what?
Itself.
If you listen to the person that been through it, you might not get your ass whipped.
Yeah.
But if you don't,
you
might just be punished.
Yep. So it's interesting, right? So now, my takeaway from all of that, confidence that you had was instilled in you at a very young age. And as you went through the years, you learned how to develop and sharpen that confidence in yourself. So now let's transition a little bit into how that confidence allowed you to develop mental toughness and resilience, right? You mentioned earlier that you played high school ball in the upper school at a younger age. So the reality is you probably went through some adversity. You probably had some ups and downs. You were probably the star that came in, but you probably didn't play like the star every single time, right? So how did you develop mental toughness, especially playing up? How did you develop the mental toughness to be able to compete with those individuals who are older, bigger, faster, stronger than you in some cases? And then when you had those bad days, those bad games, those rough practices, what was the thing that was in you that helped you build resilience, whether it's through the confidence that you instill, whether it's conversations you had with your coach or your father or whoever? What were some of the things that helped you with that?
I think it was the confidence. Also, it was the work ethic. I understood that if I want to get somewhere and I didn't do it well, I have to go work on it. And I think having older brothers, watching them do it. My cousins on my street. So my basketball team, my high school at one point, when I was like 7th, 8th grade, the starting basketball team, all 5 players was from my street.
That's crazy.
All relatives, all Williams. Well, 4 Williams and an Oliver, and then 2 Williams was a 6 and 7 man. My whole street, 7 people off of my street.
That's crazy.
So when you see that type of thing, and then you watch them playing basketball, you watch them playing football on the side, you start watching them, and you pick up on stuff. So when I was asked to come over to the varsity field, it was like midway through the season. I had just thrown 6 touchdowns in the JV game. And when I showed up, I think the first thing that happened was the quarterback that they were putting me in front of, he started yapping, which is my igniter. And I've been like that since I was a little boy. I'm talking about 6, 7, 8 years old. You start yapping at me about what you think and what you think about me, I'm bringing it. So I went right back at him. And I said, if you was that good, then they wouldn't have brought me over here. And it's different. Like the thing of it is this. People want to tell you when you can talk, when you can be a leader. It's either in you or it's not. So some younger people have watched young people throughout my life. They've been the leader of the team, but they're waiting for somebody to tell them. I grew up in a way I didn't need you to tell me. So I remember the dude talking, and I said, well, you know what? You'll never play again. I'm a 9th grader. You're in 11th grade. They called me over here to be the quarterback. My job is never to let you play again. And that's what that's the energy I took. See, a lot of people let somebody talk to them like that, and they get mad and get negative, and they stop working. No. You now just made me, when I want to take a little time off, never take that time off. And the same thing, when I got to the NFL, the same guys that helped me learn my craft happened to get hurt in the same game, body bag game. Am I wrong because I felt I got a shot and my job is to never let them get a shot again? No, I'm absolutely right. That was my opportunity. And I still today, Joe Howard Johnson is the man that made Brian Mitchell, that 23,330 yards, learn how to catch punts and all that. Joe taught me more than any coach taught me at that moment. But he wasn't mad at me because I became good. Hell, he understood. Young Buck came along. Young Buck got a little something special, right. But he helped me. And I took what he taught me and I did what I needed to do. I'm not bad or wrong for trying to be the best I can be. 2 things can be right. He can be the greatest coach ever that taught me. And I can also be a guy who was able to learn and I took his job. But we still boys today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's wrong with society today, where people think it has to be one or the other. You can learn from somebody you're competing against. You know what I mean? So, I never had a problem helping people, and I never had a problem taking advice. You know what I'm saying? And you and I have been friends long enough. You know how I am.
Yeah.
If I am truly your friend, I'm going to have a real conversation with you. I'm going to have a tough conversation with you. If a person says they're your friend, anybody out there listening, and you've never had an uncomfortable conversation, they ain't really your damn friend.
Lying.
They ain't really your friend.
Yeah.
So friends make you have to get to that point. They stress you sometimes. Because you know what? They see better in you than you normally see in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way I was. Family, friends, whatever. But if I'm in a position where I'm going to have a job to better myself, better my situation, better my family situation, you can be mad all you want, but I'm trying to come out on top.
No, it's funny you say that. So, like, so one of the things that, like, my kids that I train, I've helped. I've been a part of the process with 50 some odd kids that gone on to play collegiately.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them all the time, they don't understand until they get there. But just like you said, I tell them all the time, when you get to college, you have one job and one job only. Whoever is in your position on the field,
Take it.
you take and put their butt on the bench.
Yeah.
Because they got one job and one job only.
To keep you on the bench.
Keep you on the bench.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that could be your roommate. Y'all can have fun, y'all can hang out, y'all can joke and kick. But when you cross that white line going on to that turf field or that pitch, she don't want you to play and you don't want to be on a bench.
There you go.
So somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose that situation. A lot of times it comes down to work ethic and how bad you want it.
But if you look at it, both of you can make each other better and y'all can both get playing time.
Yeah. No, definitely. So no, that I believe that and I preach that to my kids all the time. And then to go back to your comment in regards to having difficult conversations with your friends, I don't know if you guys know this. Well, the people who know me will know this. I've been working on the idea of getting a podcast going, and I've been working on doing social media and all that kind of good stuff. In my head, it was bad stuff, but that's another conversation. But the person who read me my rights every single time we talked was this guy. And it finally came to a head. And I knew I needed to do this, and I knew I wanted to do it for the right reasons. I'm not doing this, and I say this all the time. I don't do this for the likes, the clicks, any of that stuff. I'm doing this to kind of, like, I see the success that I've had with the kids that I've been able to touch and train in person. I just want to take those lessons. And the reason why I call it Let's Talk About It is I want to take these lessons that I've had behind closed doors without a mic or without a camera on, and I want to bring it to the camera so that I can potentially help more people who may be going through the same thing, right? And I'm a perfectionist. I get a little bit obsessive about making sure everything's right. And so sometimes, okay, most of the time, that stops me from moving forward as fast as I should.
Yeah.
And I never forget the conversation we had. We were at the Stones house, and you were like, yo, Kenny's just like my cousin.
Yeah,
they always want to be perfect. And
both of them start with a K.
You K's in your middle name too.
Middle.
And he was like, you need to just stop thinking and just do it.
Yeah.
And once you start it, do it again and again and again. But you'll never get to the point of being able to do anything successfully if you don't start.
Yeah. See, Kenny, what it is.
Hold on though. That next day, I started recording. Now, my first recording was god awful, but it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson that I had to do it because I don't know how bad I am at something until you do it, and then you can make the corrections to become better.
See, that's that social media mentality. That's what the world lives by today. Everyone is killing themselves and stressing themselves out because they're trying to live the life that somebody just posted. That person that just posted sitting next to that Ferrari, they ain't their car. Somebody else's car. That person that just posted how dressed up they are, they might be in a store in a dressing room and just tried on some clothes. That person who tell you how perfect they are, they're not that damn perfect. And the problem with life today is we live to be perfect instead of building to be perfect, okay? The thing about Brian Mitchell, that played 14 years in the league, I wasn't the guy at my 14th year that I was the first year. I wasn't the guy in my 6th year that I was my 8th year. You grow. and you build yourself to become something. I wasn't the father I was when I first had my first kid. I was 19 years old. My son comes along. I'm in college. Hell, I'm a baby myself. But I had to learn. And like now I have grandkids and the way I can treat them is different. But you know what though? I lived it. I learned it. But like you, and like I always say, you and Keithlin, talented out the wing, out the yin yang. But y'all don't want to show nobody it until it's perfect. And the thing about it is, let's be real. The people that's judging you, they ain't perfect.
Ain't nobody perfect.
And if you put it out there, they're going to make comments. But if they bring their asses back the next time, you got to follow them. And then if you get better and they come again, you're doing better. Because if they stop coming, then you're not doing good. But if they keep coming, then they invite somebody else. And then you walking down the street and somebody say, hey, man, my son, man, ain't doing it. Hey, man, you should listen to this dude's podcast. The problem is people are afraid of failure. And the people that have become the most successful in life
fail the most.
Never cared about failing.
They fail the most.
MJ, Michael Jordan, that dude is one of the baddest athletic people, accomplished people in the history of accomplishment. But he'll tell you, I missed more than I made, but I didn't care because I'm going to keep trying. The person that has that shot and refuses to take it, you don't know if you can make it or not.
So it's funny you say that. So I tell my kids all the time, you're so worried about failure that you don't even try, don't even do it. But in essence, that's a failure. So you're scared of failing. And so instead of
you're scared of failing, but you live in fail.
You create yourself a failure. I tell them that all the time. So yeah, it's 100% true. And then like I had a kid who called me. She's in college now, and she had a bad game, and she took what potentially could have been a game-winning shot and missed it. And so she was all down on herself, and I let my teammates down, and all this other kind of stuff. And I told her, I was like, listen, here's the deal. You ain't perfect. The best shooter in NBA history, Steph Curry, shoots 42%. And he's considered the best. So that means he misses
58% of the time?
58% of the time, but he's considered the best. And I told him, I was like, you don't get paid millions of dollars. So why do you think you're going to be perfect with every single shot that you take? And he's the best and he don't make every single shot that he makes. Like that's a little bit unreasonable. And then I said, here's the thing. If you want to make more shots, you got to take more shots. But you got to also understand if you take more shots, you're going to miss more shots.
But you have to be, if you put the work in and you make the right decision and you just don't happen to make that shot that day, don't mean that you were wrong. Because let's be real, at the end of the game, the ball was on your foot. That ball was in that little net that they do it in field hockey. The ball was in my hand as a quarterback or somebody else's hand as a shooter. It wasn't in nobody else's hand. And you know why? Because the coach designed it like that. Because 9 times out of 10, the person that took the last shot is the person that the coach has the most confidence in.
Right.
And I think this is where we've gotten screwed up in sports. I worked with John Thompson for some years. And John said, everybody worry about who starts the game. He say, you need to watch out who the coach has on at the end of the game. Because that's when crunch time is. And that's when mistakes can really hurt. So the people that finishes are the ones I trust more. Not the people that start. It's the one that finish. So for any young kid listening, if you are the person that the coach is designing to play to be taking the last shot, you're not going to make all of them. But that coach has more confidence in you than anybody else on that football team or that basketball team or that baseball team. Or like when they got the closers that come in for baseball. We're watching the Dodgers and right now the Blue Jays. The best of the best come at the end to get people out. So when people have that level of confidence in you, don't let the haters destroy that. Coach designed it for me because he feel I will make more than anybody else on this team. And the person that they don't design it for, they say, oh man, you missed the shot. And I would tell them, you sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
And somebody might say, well, that's rude. No, it's not.
Reality.
He's hating.
Reality.
He can't even get on the court or on the field. And he's trying to make me look bad. I'm not going to let you destroy my confidence. So I'm going to tell you something. Get on the court, then you can talk to me.
With comedian Cat Williams had a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, self-confidence is called self-confidence for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get you to not like yourself because that's your self-confidence, right? And I feel like a lot of these kids nowadays, and that's a whole nother conversation about COVID, but I feel like a lot of these kids nowadays, there ain't so much the issue of the hater. It's more of an issue of self-doubt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's really the essence of why I started spending more time doing the mental training and stuff is because as I was training these kids, I realized that it wasn't an external factor that was limiting them. It was an internal factor that was limiting them. The way they thought about themselves, their abilities, comparing themselves to other people. And these are all like, everybody has these issues. But the stress, pressure, the comparing and all that kind of stuff amongst females is way more advanced.
It's higher, but Kenny, it's nothing new.
But here's the crazy part.
It's been like that since I was a kid.
Right. But here's the crazy part. I made the mistake thinking this is young female athletes. I have 2 master marathon runners.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversations that we have are the exact same conversations I have with my 19, 21-year-old girls.
Because what happens is just like, okay, the NFL never ran spread offenses. And then Bill Belichick started running the spread. Well, with O'Neal, the dude from the offense coordinator up there in New England. And how many they won? Sean, whatever his name is. But they won all them damn Super Bowls. The whole NFL now is spread. They run college offense. No, the NFL used to be, we don't copy off of nobody. They copy off of college like hell. Okay? But the ultimate thing is, man, you got to have confidence in you. Okay? People can't build that for you. You know, so it's always been like that where people doubt, people want to make you question. But if you're putting in the work, you know. You know, like I never really cared what the next person thought about what I could do. Because I was putting the work in. And in the 9th grade, so at 14 years old, my teacher had a teacher, she was my cousin. She said,
small country.
You have to stop. You have to stop always thinking you're the best. I said, why? She said, well, people going to think you're conceited or you're cocky and you're arrogant. I said, Ms. Brown, I'm convinced. She said, what you mean you're convinced? I said, the amount of work I put in and the time I put in to accomplish something, I might not be the best, but I'm damn sure one of them. And she was like, I'm sorry. That same teacher was the teacher of the year when I went to the Pro Bowl. Because I nominated her and her sister, both of them, first and second place. And I'm still like, Miss Brown is not in the 80s. All the faculties. And she said, boy, you made me a better teacher. Because I never could just say something and you just took it. Because I had a level of confidence in me and what I believed in, not because I was just bad. I worked at what I wanted to know. I worked at what I wanted to accomplish and wanted to do. And if I'm doing it, when you're not looking, when I talk to you about it, you can't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. So, no matter who you are.
So to that point, in your opinion, how important is consistency at working at your craft if you want to be successful?
It's the most important thing in the world. And let's say golf is a mental sport as much as a physical sport. So you have to be able to consistently block out stuff while working on what you're doing. Football is a very physical sport, but it has a lot of mental capabilities to it. And you have to be able to go and try to do something even when you may not be at your absolute best. Baseball, it's a slow sport, but it's even more important to have that hand-eye coordination. So anything you can be doing to help you become better at doing hand-eye stuff, batting on the ball, those type of things are gonna help you. You know, you can go to any sport. Basketball. Basketball is, you're gonna get hit on the elbow, but still can you consistently follow through that shot? If you're inconsistent, you're not gonna be successful. There are a lot of people who are very consistent at being inconsistent, and they're average as they come.
Right.
And then they're mad at the guys that are always working. Like, I had friends in high school like, yo, man, we going out at 6, man. I said, I'll see y'all around 7:30. Because I knew Blanche Mitchell Sr. was going to be like, yo, don't you have you got something to do, I'm sure. So I became the guy who did homework and at recess. I did my stuff. When I got the time, I started working on what I needed to do, like getting me physically ready for my sports, so I could get to where I wanted to go quicker, but I still did it. Now, whether I was sacrificing things, and I had some friends that were mad, but I got my stuff done. And I think for most people, your parents have a to-do list, and you watch your parents checking off that list. Kids get up, go to school, come home, go to practice, come home. They got food, they got a house, they got electricity, all this stuff. Your parents provide that. But still, you want them to take you to practice and do this, that, and the other. Kids got to also find a way to have a to-do list too. I want to be a successful field hockey player, tennis player, whatever. And there are things that I got to check off my list. Just like your parents have to go to work, then come home, and they working to take care of you too. You have to be able to go and do all the things you need to do. I hear so many people go, well, man, I don't do that anymore because I got to do this first. You got to do what? Go to school? That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Well, I got to go do this, but I got a job. Well, your parents had jobs too, and they took care of you. So people just got to realize that life has different little portions, and you just got to take care of your portions as you go. You know, if you just get used to doing it on a daily basis, consistently, you won't have a problem.
So now let's transition a little bit into your kids now, right? Mm-hmm. So, confidence was built and established at a young, early age with you. Mm-hmm. Mental toughness, competitiveness was established because of your community, living in a rural area where everybody knew one another, everybody competed against one another. Fast forward, as you got older and as you started having children, obviously the setup isn't the same. You're not in rural America. Mm-hmm. You don't have as close friends in proximity and family in proximity. But your children, your son and your daughters all participated in some kind of competitive sports activity. First question I have for you is, did you treat your daughters any different than you treated your son? And did you treat your son and your daughters any different than you treated yourself, with the expectations and the confidence and the not taking shortcuts and not practicing correctly and being consistent? Like, how did you manage the pressure and the way that you went about your business in regards to dealing with your children?
I think in the beginning, I might have pushed my son more than I did my daughters. But then when I realized that my daughters had a lot of me in them, I began to push them the same way. So my rules in my house has always been, don't start it. If you start it, you're going to finish it. I don't allow you to quit. You got to go. If you start at the beginning of the season, you're going to do it the rest of the season. And I never told my son what he had to do. Never told my daughters what they had to do. But once they made that decision, I was there to help push them towards it and to help them through it. Bria, Maya, and Aaliyah, they all did gymnastics, cheer, and dance.
All of them very competitive.
So I spent a lot of damn money I could send all of them to 18 different colleges. My son played football. But this was the amazing thing. At 12 years old, he came to me and he said, Dad, I'm not gonna play football no more. And everybody was like, oh man, I know that had to like stomp you. No, it didn't. Because my dad was boxing in the military. He never told me to box. He never told me to join the military. He told me to do what I wanted to do. So I said, so what you want to do? He said, man, I want to be an architect.
I remember that.
So my son, I said, you're going to be an architect. So I said, what you need? So I got the easel and I got everything he needed to have to start doing it. He was 12 years old. So he had stuff he probably needed in high school. So when he got to high school, it was so easy for him because he already had the stuff he was doing it. My son went to school on an architectural scholarship. His best friend went on a mechanical engineering scholarship. When he got to LSU, the professor realized that he was better at mechanical stuff. His friend was better at architecture. And he said, well, we're going to switch y'all major. I said, as long as they're going to keep paying the money, I don't care. So they switched it up. And now this dude he used to be making self-driving cars. Now he does robotics and all this stuff. So he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. Am I any less thrilled with my son and happy about his success as I would if he would have been a football player? Hell no. My son decided what he wanted to do in life, and he went out there and he accomplished it. I am the proudest parent in the world. 2 of my daughters wanted to work in sports, and they do. Bria's with SeatGeek. Maya works at the Washington Spirit. Aaliyah wanted to be in fashion. She didn't want to be in sports. I'm not going to force her to be in sports. Plus, she's successful. But it all comes back to what my dad told me. When I was going to college, he said, hey, I said, man, you and mom would come with me. He said, no. You go to college. You go visit, and then you tell us the schools you like. And then we'll help you make a decision. But your mama might go to one place, she might like it more than you. I go to a place, I like it more than you. And we're going to make you go to where we want you to go. So you go and tell us what you like, and then you tell us what you like about it. Now we can help you make a more educated decision. So they did that to me. So that's why I allow my kids, you go to your school. That's why I got LSU, Maryland, VCU, Old Dominion. You know what I'm saying? Maryland, I could have used her going to a Virginia school, could have saved me $20,000 a year. It didn't. But the whole thing of it is, if you go where you want to go and where you're comfortable, you'll be more successful. So that's why I allowed them to do what they wanted to do. Now, I've always showed up to their events, and if they played great, I let them know. If they played okay, I still told them how proud I was of them. They need to know. Kids need to know that they did something. You can find a kid can have a bad game, 1 play, 2 plays, but the rest of the game they did good. They need to know that too. And I tried to be that way. That's how my dad was with me. Look, my best game, you mentioned when I had 271 yards against Colorado State. I had 205 yards passing. I was at 476 yards. At the end of the game, everybody was like talking about how great I was. My dad was like, should have had over 500. You missed this, this, and this. And you know what? I couldn't argue because I knew he was right. Because I did get to a point where I was showboating like hell. But then I had another game where I had 180 yards total, rushing and passing. He said, you couldn't have gotten another yard out of that game. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I go watch the film. He was right. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you got to be, if you develop the right relationship with your kids, and they, just like a coach, just like a trainer, and the kid know that you care, you're concerned about them, and you want them to be successful, then you could talk honestly with those kids. Too many people lie to kids. Too many people try to put unneeded pressure to protect themselves. You know, that self-preservation type thing. No, be honest with them. Be truthful with them. And let them understand that you do give a damn. And then you won't have a problem with any kid out there. Yeah. I promise that.
Yeah, that's the word we use now is connection.
Yeah.
More than ever, you have to have a connection with the kid.
Because, look, bro, kids, people always tell you the smallest kids can see through all the BS.
Yeah.
So if that kid is, 2, 3, 4 years old and got an attitude with you already, he can see you. Why you won't listen to him when they're 12? because they have a internal little thing that tells them this guy is full of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because growing up, my parents looked. What the little kids did around certain people, that's how they treated the older person, and that kid can't even really talk.
Yeah.
So why is it when the kid get a little older, we don't listen to them? So you got to just show a level of respect for them, like you want them to give you.
Now, so let's go back to what you were saying about your daughters and stuff. Do you think you ever put unnecessary pressure on them to perform in their dance, cheer, or any of the stuff that they
I would probably say no. I can tell you this. I probably pushed them to when they would come home some days when they got mad at something. Home, go quit. No, you're not. I know I put pressure on them. Like, I'm not letting you quit. But I couldn't put pressure on them because I don't know what the hell they doing. And after I watched my oldest daughter go through some cheer competitions and doing some stuff, I realized then she knew more about cheering than I knew.
So
it scared me.
So let's address Bria for a second.
Hmm?
Tell everybody the story. Her being the freshman and the first freshman to make varsity cheer.
Yeah, she made
and what happened to her.
Well, she made varsity cheer at Westfield High School. She was like a freshman, and they were like first person to make it. And I think first week she gets dropped, breaks her shoulder.
So she was what would be considered a flyer.
A flyer. So my wife calls me, tell me that, and I say, I gotta talk to her.
Okay, so when she fell, she broke
her shoulder. Yeah. And so I had one question I wanted to ask. I say you gonna go back? And she say, as soon as I'm healthy. And I was the happiest in the world. I didn't want to just give it off then, because the thing for me is I knew how much she loved it, and I didn't want nothing to kill her love for it.
Right.
As I stated before, this is what she wanted to do. And it's as dangerous as football, being a flyer. People don't understand that, but it is. And when I saw her, as she went older, and I saw her in some of these meets where they throw her that high in the air, she got to do all these flips, I was terrified. But that's what she wanted to do. But when she told me I'm going back as soon as I'm healthy, I was happy as hell, man.
I remember
like
that.
a kid, I was smiling.
I remember that.
Because I know it didn't break her spirit.
Right.
You know? And that's how I am with just about everything my kids go through. It could have been school, could have been anything else. If they failed at something, and then I'll sit there and try to help them as much as I could, and I'll get people to help them. And once they were like, oh, I got it now, I was happy because it's helping them to understand just because you failed at something one time doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you got to work a little hard at it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I was like that with like Maya. You know, we held Maya back one year because she wasn't catching on the math stuff. I was teaching her the way I learned it, but the school wanted her to do it the way they just changed up the way this is the way we go. She getting the same damn answers.
So you were the reason why she got held back, pretty much.
Well, I guess. but it's like she got all the right answers.
Right. But they wanted to see it done.
They wanted to see it done how they wanted to do. Yeah. My question is,
what's it matter?
In the real world?
Yeah. What's it matter?
We don't do stuff one way.
Yeah.
We have to figure out ways to do it.
Get the result.
And so I went to her, I said, baby, this is not nothing about you. This is just, thing like, and it's, she might was born 1.5 ounces, 1.4 ounces, 29 weeks premature. So I was like, look, this is just, you just don't learn stuff as quick as other people in this situation. Now,
Successful.
Put her next to all the 25-year-olds. Yeah. She destroy them.
So I'm going to say this, and we've known each other for 25, 27 plus years, probably close to 30 now. And I've had the privilege and the opportunity to be a part of your family. Mm-hmm. You're like a big brother to me, brother I've never had.
A little younger though.
Sometimes never wanted. You ain't younger than me. But I will say this, watching your kids, and their confidence, their mental toughness, their fortitude, their resilience. In the Mitchell case, I'll say this. It wasn't something that I felt like you taught your kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about how the Mitchells go about their business, and their kids learn from observing how you went about things, right? You know, you talk about Bria when she broke her arm. Like, you can't teach nobody that, right? You talk about Maya being born a preemie. Being born a preemie, like anybody that has a preemie kid or daughter or somebody in the family understands that they just have a different motor in themselves.
Yeah, they're fighters.
And they just fight against and for everything, right? And then you have Aaliyah, who's like a pit bull, who would fight anybody for Maya when Maya didn't want to fight, or even if Maya wanted to fight, the pit bull was still right. And it's not anything that you taught them. It's not anything that you sat them down and said, "Girls, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
It was things that through the DNA of how you lived your life and how you go about your business, they picked up on the exact same thing.
See, that same thing of my dad telling me I was a Mitchell, I can do anything. I spoke that to them. But the best way to teach your kids is just by living it.
Yeah.
And being it. You know, if you are just saying, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you're not doing it, they're going to despise you and they're not going to listen.
Right.
But if you do something on a consistent basis, and every once in a while you have to speak it to them, they look at you and say, okay, he does that all the time. And they're not swayed or irritated by you saying it.
Right.
So nothing I've told them to do, I haven't done myself. Nothing I've told them they needed to do, I haven't shown them that that's what I do. Bria and Willie, they both saw me play pro football. Maya came in my last 3-4 years, so she didn't really understand. Aaliyah didn't really get a chance to see me. Aaliyah was born in 2002, so I'm out in 2003. I'm done at that year.
Right.
But the other two saw me play. They saw me come home hurting. They saw me have to leave early. They knew I couldn't be there for some things on the weekends and stuff like that. I had to sacrifice a lot of stuff. But they saw me fight through it. And when there was something happening on the weekend or something going on, they saw me smiling and being right there with them. And I'm sure they were like, well, Daddy hurt. Why are you smiling? Because I had to smile for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they learned from that. And I think that's the whole thing about it. Like, I listen to parents today telling their kids what to do, how to do it, and they never done it themselves. I watch a lot of parents who are the most unathletic people I've ever seen in my life telling this kid what he should be doing. And I'm like, and I have to ask questions sometimes. Hey, you played? No, I never played. Well, how the hell you know what you got to do?
Right.
You know, because like, it pisses me off when someone is like arguing at a kid, chastising them, and they've never really done it. Because you may not understand some of the things they go through. Ask them a question might be easier to get to the bottom line of it. But you get some of these people, parents, some coaches, who are going to be so abrasive that the kid now hates the sport.
Yeah.
That's what I never wanted to do. I never wanted to be the parent that made my kids hate something that they love. You know what I'm saying? But like I told you, if they started doing it,
You got to finish it.
we had our word of mouth contracts. You can't quit until the end. End of the year, you don't have to play the next year. But if you started this year, you got to go all the way through it.
So let's talk about that for a second. And then we'll transition to a little bit of what I do. How did you handle your kids coming home, talking about or complaining about or not liking or the coach not liking them? And what role did you allow your kids to develop the relationship with their coaches and you're taking hands off versus did you kind of insert yourself in that athlete-coach relationship?
There are times I had to because I try to get them to ask questions, see what you can do more. And when they come back and tell me the responses from the coaches, then I know if they're telling me the truth about the coaches being however they're going to be or whatever. Aaliyah, like you call it, the pit bull, Aaliyah, I had her write a letter. She's like, I want to write a letter to the coach and let her know how I really feel. And I'm like, let me see the letter first.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the letter. I thought the letter was one of the most cleverly written letters in the world. She basically told this lady, you've come in here with a mindset, you don't know nothing about nobody on this team, but you've already came in and you had your mindset set on who you like and who you didn't like, just because. And she said, I've loved cheering all my life and you killed my love for this team. The way she wrote this letter was unbelievable. And she sent one to the principal as well. If her letter was wrong, the principal wouldn't have called the teacher in, the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the coach would have kept her job consistently. That child was lost her job real quick. And it wasn't because of me. And I told Mike, I said, one thing I did not like showing up to the schools. Because if I show up, you say something wrong about my kid, I say something in a loud voice like I could have, immediately Brian Mitchell, the Redskin, they're going to start trying to make it into that.
Right.
So I would let my wife go do all the stuff. I didn't want them to ever be able to try to use me against them. So I wouldn't go. Now, when they got serious, if you really are trying to treat my kid wrong, I'm going to show the hell up. And I don't care, you, your husband, who your wife, I'm going to say something to you. You know, it's just but my kids knew. Daddy because like my kid, everybody talking about how tough I am, they laugh because they think I'm a big teddy bear because I'm like that with them.
Right.
But they also know if you harm my family, you threaten my family, then that bulldog does come out, you know?
Right.
And I think the whole thing is I just try to not be, because I know what the story would have been if I got involved with it. And you don't ever want your kids to have that little stigma on them.
Right.
So
would it be fair to say that you taught your kids and you encouraged your kids to always advocate for themselves when it comes to things?
Totally. Because I know if I was always doing it and then they got to a certain level and they were like the top kid or the starter kid, they're going to say, well, they got that because of their dad. Well, if I never was around saying it, then you couldn't say that.
Right.
I wanted them to live off of their own merit. And people don't understand. They say I'm the mama bear worse than papa bear in this house. I tell you straight up.
Well, I know that.
For her kids, you got problems.
Yeah.
So I try my best to take them through a balanced life where they knew if I needed to be there, I'll be there. But you can handle most things yourself. You know, like you get two kids with a disagreement and parents always getting involved. Let the damn kids solve those agreements sometimes.
Yeah.
If you and that parent come together and have an understanding, y'all can step back and let the kids do it. But you don't need to be telling that person's kid nothing. That person don't need to be telling your kid nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You find a way to let them know when they come out of that situation, then they both should be a little bit more mature, a little bit more educated on how to deal with that situation next time.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So here's the wild stuff about all of this, right? So I said earlier, like, you know, my niche, female athletes. And I honestly believe, and I'd like to get your input on this, I honestly believe everybody has their own superpower.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to be good at whatever it is that you're good at that's going to make you great. And I think everybody has it. We just got to spend time with these athletes to help them figure what their superpower is so that they can reach their peak performance. And it goes with sports, and sports is, in my opinion, is just a microcosm of life.
Yeah.
I have no kids myself. Mm-hmm. So the lessons that I've been able to learn and impart, that I've been able to put in action with my training, a lot of it I've learned from you and being around you and professional athletes, being in the locker room, being on the sideline, being at training camp, being introduced by different other NFL players and having conversations with them. You know, Henry Ellard, Leslie Shepard, Marcus Patton, you know, all these guys were very impactful in my life. But the other side of it is watching you and how you dealt with your kids. And so one of the things that I did when I started training was I made a purposeful decision to train my female athletes just like I train my male athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in this business, you hear a lot, you got to train girls different. You got to treat them different. You got to be. And I just didn't.
Some of them tougher than dudes.
Listen to me. True story. True story. Here's how I said I'm going to make field hockey my niche. I started training a couple of field hockey girls. And then I met this lady named Star Carl, who's like the godmother of field hockey. She was a coach at Fairfax, won state championships. She was a coach at Westfield, won state championships. Like she had the best in the #1 club organization in the area. And she probably sent 30 or 40 girls, probably even more, off to college and actually have successful careers, right? So she started this thing called Capital Field Hockey, which is like a summer league thing. And so I go out there and I go watch the kids play, and all of a sudden you just hear this commotion. Trainer, medic, trainer, right? I'm like, what the heck's going on, right? About 5 minutes later, this kid comes running up. She couldn't have been no older than 13, 14 years old. Hand over her eye, right? Blood just rolling down her face. I've seen football players get hit on the quad and cry and can't do anything. I've seen basketball players stub a toe and has to be taken out on a wheelchair, right? This girl calmly, do you think I can go back in the game and play? So the trainer was like, well, let's see. She pulls her hand down. She has a gash in her eye this long. You can see it all the way down to the white meat. Not crying, not panicking, not going into shock, none of that. So they were like, she ain't gonna get back in the game. They're like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get you to the hospital. If the doctor says you can play again, we'll get you back out there and play again. She's like, okay, who's taking me?
Yeah.
When I saw that dog, I was like, that's my sport right there. Because they're just tough kids, because the ball they use is hard. It's a stick, right? You can swing, you can get a back swing across like it's a really, really tough sport. And those kids are by nature really, really resilient for the most part. And that's kind of how I got into it. But I made a decision to train these kids, these girls, just like I would train a boy. Why? Because the muscular structure is the exact same. Right? Now, obviously, you don't do certain things with a female that you would do with a boy. You don't push them certain ways or what have you. But from a performance standpoint, you know, developing strength, developing power, developing force into the ground, all that's the same, right? I got to be a little more cautious about knee injuries because they're just at a higher risk of ACL tears. But the other part of it, the thing that has set me apart, is the mental aspect of it. And I've seen a huge difference helping these girls develop confidence, mental toughness, resilience, positive self-talk. And I've seen a transformation from the time I get them to the time a year later, a year and a half later, 2 years later, and then when they get to college, and just kind of see their growth just kind of go and skyrocket a little bit. So I thank you for coming on here, because I think people need to hear the other side of sports, right? And the things that you've been through that's made you successful is a life story, and basically it's the blueprint, the foundation that I use with my athletes in regards to how do you get through certain things, how do you fight through certain things. So I really appreciate it, man. Anything else you want to?
I'll just say this to people. Look, for me, and you mentioned the word consistency earlier, nothing has changed since I was that 6-year-old kid who told my dad I wanted to be an NFL player. At that point when he said, when you start doing it by yourself, then I'll know you're serious. Basically what he was saying is, when you consistently do something to accomplish a goal, I know you're serious about it. Because it's what you want to do. And then when I got into high school, I had to learn that in football and for quarterback. And then I had to the NFL. I had to completely learn a new mindset, kick return, running back. But I never ever stopped learning all the plays like a quarterback would, because that's what I knew. And I felt by learning it as a quarterback, it made the game easier for me. I left the game of football 22 years ago. And I think I'm as successful now doing social media stuff because I'm consistent in what I do. I don't watch every game. No one can watch every game. But I watch most, and I read up on a lot. And I'm always asking questions to people that I see that are on the top of the game or something to learn. So still, hard work and consistency pays off, and no matter what you do. You know, like that's why so many athletes and so many military people are successful afterwards, because we do this daily. We have a repetitive nature of what we do. And if you get out of sports and military and you keep doing that in your regular life, these same things happen. Only difference is you don't have nobody trying to hit you or harm you.
Right.
You know, for the most part.
Yeah.
And you should have success at that. So if you work hard and you're willing to be consistently do the right things, you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah, I like telling my athletes all the time, success is boring because you got to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, because you want to get to a point where what you're asking your body to do, you can do it without thinking about it.
Yeah, like riding a bike.
Right.
I always tell people I have that mindset. When you get to a point that you can be like the riding bike syndrome, because you don't jump on a bike and say right foot, left foot. You just jump on the bike and start pedaling.
Yep.
If you can go through life like that in anything you're doing, then you've hit that point where it's on autopilot. And nothing but good can happen.
Last thing, what advice would you give to a parent who has a kid who's athletically gifted, who's trying to achieve a goal or trying to chase after a specific achievement, whether it's, you know, if it's a middle school kid trying to make varsity in high school, if it's a high school kid trying to make a club team, if it's a club kid trying to go to college, like what advice would you give the parents in regards to helping their kid achieve these different
I would tell them
milestones?
this: find the right person that can help your kid. Because I know a lot of parents think I'm the parent, I'm gonna help my kid. If you were a former tennis player or whatever and you could help that kid, you could do that. But eventually you may have to let somebody else do it to take them to a different level. But don't ever stop supporting them. You know, one thing about kids, they may not want you being their coach, but they always want to hear what you think. And they always want to get those compliments and good comments from their parents. So always be there, but don't feel like you have to be the one that's leading the way. Too many parents make that mistake.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, my dad boxed and was in the military. My dad never tried to teach me about football. He did throw football in the backyard with me. But when it came down to the point of me playing football, J.B. Banks, he like, you go talk to J.B., he coaches, he knows all that stuff. But he didn't try to do it himself.
Right.
As athletically inclined he was, and as successful as he was, he still said, I'm going to give you somebody else. But he still was the one, as I said earlier, is what he told me that pushed me. Not what nobody else told me. It's what he told me.